Velkommen alle sammen. Today we're looking at a little bit of gameplay footage where we first meet King Harald in the Assassin's Creed game, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of historical info on King Harald, because he is one of the most important kings in all Norwegian history, and many people paint him out as a bad guy, but he really wasn't that bad, and I think the way they portray him in this game is pretty accurate. They're first portraying him as quite a good guy here, and he was most of the time, and I'll tell you what I mean. But first, a little historical info that probably most of you know. He was the first king to unite Norway under one kingdom. Before him, there were many little small tribes and kingdom, but he unified Norway under one rule. And he's not to be confused with Harald Bluetooth, which came later on in time. He was a Danish king, actually. But most of you know that, so I'm going to tell you just a few things here that you probably don't know. First, he ruled for almost 60 years, which is an incredibly long time, and his rule went from when he was in his 20s until his 80s, so a very, very long reign, very powerful. He had about 25 kids with 6 different women, and it's debated actually whether he actually existed due to some conflicting historical accounts, but we generally believe he existed, but his stories may have been over-exaggerated a little bit, is what most people believe. He ruled from Trondheim or Alrekstad in the west coast of Norway, but was originally from the other side of Norway in Vestfold, where I'm also from. So a lot of people in the west of Norway, he had 25 kids. You know, it's probably a chance we have a little shared DNA with him if he spread his seed that much. But anyway, he also, a lot of people don't know, he settled in England for quite a long time, actually, later on in his life, and he was actually friends with English kings, and he even had one of his sons raised and fostered by one of the English kings, according to some sagas. We also read about him taking people's lands and people fleeing his rule and settling in Iceland and other places, and this is the kind of stories we always hear about King Harald, that he was this mean ruler that pushed people out of the country. And yes, he did, but he was actually very kind and generous to the ones that he liked, the ones that he got on with. Take one Viking saga, for example, Egil's saga, which is my favorite one. King Harald got into it with Egil's grandfather, and they had a dispute, and this was a family feud that lasted 4 generations, really, between the Skallagrim family and King Harald. They were always involved in a fight or some sort of disagreement or quarrel with each other, and Harald made life very difficult on Egil's family. Another saga, in Vatnsdæla saga, it tells us how the main character there, once he stumbled upon young Harald before he was about to go into a battle, and then the main character offered to fight on Harald's side, and then Harald was very thankful for him, and he gave him gifts and land and opportunities for the rest of the story. I forget that character's name at the moment, but I'll put that name up here somewhere. So King Harald was really not all that bad all the time. People he was enemies with, yes, he treated them pretty unfairly, but the people he was friends with, he showed loyalty and kindness for life. So that's just something you should all know, and I think the game has really done their research here and portrayed him accurately, because it seems as though when we first meet him here, it seems like King Harald is a pretty nice and reasonable guy. So that's all I have to say for this video. Hope you learned something new. Vi ses nästa gång.